Hey guys, Sean here. I'm doing my second movie review. Last week I did The Hobbit. This week I'm gonna do something different. I'm doing my favorite comic book trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. I was gonna do Batman: The Dark Knight Returns parts 1 and 2, but I just figured I could say more about these than I could the other ones. So I'm doing the trilogy first. And then I'll probably do Dark Knight Returns next week. I don't know. I'm going to start off with the one that started it all. Well, started this new trilogy, I guess you could say. Batman Begins. It was released in 2005 under the direction of Christopher Nolan. When this movie was coming out, I did not even know about it. It was at a time when I had just come off seeing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and then I saw Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope in school when I was still in middle school, so I was really looking forward to seeing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, kind of fill in that gap that I missed. So I didn't know about this film until after its release, like after it was on DVD. And then I rented it at the local library, the Genesee Library. I rented it there, watched it. Hang on. Sorry about that. My sister's trying to get hold of me. Where was I? Yes. I checked this out of my library. I actually thought it was going to be a prequel to the other 4 movies. But then when I saw it, I was like, nah, this ain't a prequel, it's a reboot. It stars Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman, and this basically gives a further explanation of who he is and how he became Batman, which I thought was a nice touch. Something that the other 4 movies never touched on. I don't even think they even explained what happened, the only thing it really explained was his parents dying, really. But this one gives more of his training, how he got his suit, and how he got his gadgets. Like I said, the other 4 didn't do that. They only did how his parents died, and that's not really much of an origin story. I mean, yeah, it's the key part, but that's not really much. So basically, Bruce is in a Chinese prison. Basically, he's going all over the world to find how to face his fear and fight crime and all that stuff. Basically, learn how to get into the mind of a criminal. And then he meets up with Henry Ducard, who is played by Liam Neeson, who basically offers him a path to supposedly become a ninja. Says that a man can be killed and destroyed, but if you're a symbol, if you're something bigger than that, you can live on. Basically, that anybody can be a hero. Basically, is what it's saying. The cast, I thought, did a great job. See, the cast, they have Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman, Michael Keaton as taking on Michael Gough's role as Alfred, Liam Neeson as Henry Ducard, let's see, Katie Holmes is in the role of Rachel Dawes, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, but at this time he's more like the Sergeant Gordon, I think. I don't know, I haven't seen this film in a while. I haven't actually seen this since probably last month. Either last month or in February. It's been a while. Tom Wilkinson as Carmine Falcone, the crime lord. Rutger Hauer as the current owner of Wayne Enterprises. Because when Bruce's parents are gunned down, Bruce is too young to take over the company. So somebody else had to take over for him until he got older. So that's who's taking over. I think his name is William Earl. Because Morgan Freeman's character, Lucius Fox, basically, I think calls him Bill or something. I don't know. I have to watch the movie with the subtitles. I don't know. But I know his name is Mr. Earl. I know that part. Ken Watanabe is Ra's al Ghul. And like I said, Morgan Freeman is Lucius Fox. This movie I thought was really nice. It was a good movie, a good entry into the series. Like I said, I did not see this one in theaters because I didn't know it existed. I thought the franchise had been long dead since Batman and Robin. So I did not know they were rebooting the franchise. So, like I said, I did not see this one. I didn't know they were rebooting it. I thought this was a good movie. It's basically the story of if you've read the Batman Year One comics or saw the 2011 animated movie, you pretty much know the storyline of this movie. That Bruce has gone away, learned how to become a crime fighter, how to become a ninja, I guess. He goes to Lucius Fox, gets all his gadgets, even the best Batmobile I've seen, the Tumbler. If I had one of those, I'd be driving that damn thing. Literally. Gary Oldman, basically, Gordon, basically, in a way, takes on the role of Robin. In a way, because in this, Batman and Gordon have become like an alliance, a friendship, really. They help each other out. They help each other out to the best of their abilities. Because Gordon is the only true good cop left in Gotham. Falcone has basically, as Rachel said, Falcone floods the streets with crimes and drugs, preying on the weak, or creating new JoJos every day. Basically, he was destroying everything that Bruce's family stood for. So that's why Gordon was the only lonely good cop left. Which I can kind of see that because that's the way it was in the Batman Year One thing, which I thought was cool. And then the end of this, there's a big twist at the end, which is Henry Ducard is the real Ra's al Ghul. And I don't think I mentioned this, but Cillian Murphy plays Dr. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, who basically is in charge of Arkham Asylum. So Arkham Asylum is in this movie, but it's not in there that much. So I don't even think it was in that much in the other films. But yeah, and Scarecrow is like everyone said, Scarecrow is not used that much in this film. He doesn't even look like he does in the comic books or in the video games. He's basically just a mask. It's basically just a mask and a regular suit. That's all it is, really. Scarecrow is just not even Scarecrow in this film, to tell you the truth. But this movie ends in a way where it basically set up the Dark Knight, basically. With the Joker card, with Gordon giving Batman the Joker card at the end of it, which I thought was a nice touch to set up the next movie. Even though this was only meant to be just the one movie, and that Joker card was meant to be just a tease, I'm still glad they made the sequel. Even though Christopher Nolan originally was not intending to make one. Because he said in an interview that when they made this movie, he didn't want to even think or talk about doing a sequel, because they were putting all their chips into Batman Begins, making it the best movie ever made. They did not want to do a sequel at the time. It was only until after the movie became successful and people started talking about it is when he decided to go ahead and do the sequel. It was because with the Joker card revealed at the end, he wanted to see who the Joker was going to be, who that character was, what his objective was. It was because he wanted to see who that Joker would be. And if you guys can't tell in the hat, the Joker. Now, speaking of the Joker, leads me to my next movie, The Dark Knight. In case you know, in this, Rachel was Bruce's childhood friend and a district attorney. Or assistant district attorney, I guess. She was one of the two. She was basically a lawyer, I know that much. In this movie, it picks up at least a year after Batman Begins. It opens with a bank heist scene, like a 6-minute bank heist scene, where this guy has all his men, where the Joker has all his men kill each other off, so that way he has the money in the end. But it was kind of a good scene. Here, I'll make sure you guys can see the case better. And then after that, we are introduced to Harvey Dent, played by Aaron Eckhart, and the Joker in this movie is played by Heath Ledger, who I thought did a better job than Jack Nicholson. Better job than Mark Hamill. Basically, I think Ledger was the best Joker ever done, aside from Mark Hamill. Hamill and Ledger are my two favorite Jokers, put it that way. So when they do Arkham Origins, I really won't have that much. I don't know the word I'm thinking of, but I don't have that much expectations for the next guy, for the Joker. Because if it's not Ledger or Hamill, we know it's not going to be Ledger because Ledger croaked. But if it's not going to be Hamill, then I don't have that much to expect. I don't have that much expectation. But anyway, back to this movie. Like I said, the sequel to Batman Begins takes place a year after. Like I said, we meet with Harvey Dent, who's basically what they call the White Knight of Gotham. Basically, he wants to just clean up the streets, make it a nice place, you know. And at this point, he's actually even dating Rachel Dawes, who it had to be recasted because Katie Holmes from this one respectfully did not want to do the movie. She wanted to go off and do a movie called Mad Money with Diane Keaton and Queen Latifah. So for this movie, they had to recast Rachel, and they got, what was her name? Maggie Gyllenhaal to come in and play the role. And I don't know who's better. I think it's an even tie, really. Some people say Katie's better. Some people say Maggie's better. I don't want to argue with people, so I just say it's an even tie. Because I don't want to argue with people, really. I'm not one to argue. So yeah, basically in this movie, pretty much everyone comes back from Batman Begins with the exception of Katie Holmes. Like I said, Katie Holmes went to do another movie, and she was replaced by Maggie Gyllenhaal. The villain in this one is the Joker, played brilliantly by Heath Ledger. Loved his performance. In this one, Gordon is now the lieutenant. He becomes commissioner after Commissioner Loeb kicks the bucket. He dies. Basically, if you haven't seen the movie, then I just spoiled it for you. I'm sorry. Salvatore Maroni, who if you've seen Batman Forever, you kind of know who he is. In Batman Forever, he's the guy that made Two-Face. In this one, Joker made Two-Face. Because towards the end, when Rachel dies, so sad. Wish she would have been in the third one, which was only mentioned, and in a photograph. But anyway, that's a little later. I'll get to the Dark Knight Rises later. That's when Harvey Dent becomes Harvey Two-Face. Well, up until that point, alright, Bruce is basically getting ready to retire. He's out of it. He doesn't want to do this anymore, because at the end of Batman Begins, I'm going to put this down for a minute. At the end of Batman Begins, Rachel said, and I quote, that someday when Gotham no longer needs Batman, we'll see him again. Basically, what she was trying to say is that once Bruce ends up not wanting to be, when Bruce doesn't need to be Batman anymore, she and Bruce can be together. But she was not wanting to wait. She didn't want to wait for that. She didn't want to wait for Bruce to give up being Batman. So she started dating Harvey Dent. And this time, I think Aaron Eckhart did a great job in the role. He did better than Tommy Lee Jones. I'm sorry, Tommy, but you're better than Men in Black. So like I said, all the cast comes back. Christian Bale reprises his role as Bruce Wayne Batman. Michael Caine as Alfred. Gary Oldman as this time Lieutenant Gordon, not Sergeant Gordon. and then Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. Lucius Fox basically is the CEO of Wayne Enterprises this time around. He was just the guy who worked in, what was it? Artificial sciences or something. I forgot what it was called. Basically, it was R&D though. Applied sciences. I had to remember. It was applied sciences. But in this one, he's basically the CEO. He and Bruce co-run the company, and then basically is what it is. But like I said, this was the best of the three that I've seen. Like the best of the trilogy, best of the whole Batman franchise that there is. Basically, in this one, the Joker is a killer. Basically, he's a narcissist. He says he's an agent of chaos. He's an anarchist. He threatens to kill people unless Bruce reveals himself. Unless Bruce removes his mask. Basically, the longer Bruce goes without revealing his true identity, the more people the Joker will kill. That's basically what it is. He wants to show a mirror up to Gotham, saying that just about anybody can be corruptible. That's basically what it is. And this movie basically ends with Harvey dying and Bruce taking the blame for Harvey's crimes. Just so that way, Gotham can have a sense of hope that their city can be reclaimed. That they can reclaim their city. So Gordon and Batman lie to Gotham and say that Batman is the true villain. So yeah. And in this one, before Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face, Bruce was hoping to look to Harvey as his successor, saying Harvey locked up half of the city's criminals, and he did it without wearing a mask. Gotham needs a hero with a face. Which I thought was a nice touch, that they were going to have Harvey be his successor, and then kaplak, Harvey becomes Two-Face. Now, originally, when The Dark Knight came out, they were not anticipating a third movie at all. They were not anticipating a third movie. Because they didn't even want to come back for the second movie. No one didn't even want to come back for the second movie. Sorry, everyone knows right now. But 4 years later, they decided to do one. 3-4 years later, they decided to make another. And Christopher Nolan said he would only make the film as a way. He would only do the movie if he could put Bruce's story at rest. And so we got The Dark Knight Rises. Now before I go with Dark Knight Rises, I have to mention this one I saw in theaters. This was the first Batman movie I had ever seen in theaters. I did not see Batman Begins in theaters. I did not see the other 4 movies in theaters. And the reason for that was because when the '89 Batman movie came out, I was not born. When Batman Returns came out, I was only a year old. Batman Forever came out, I was only 4. I was only 4 years old. And then when Batman and Robin came out, I was only 6. I didn't start going to the movies until at least 1999, when I went to see Toy Story 2 in theaters. Toy Story 2, I think, my first theater movie. Now, anyway, and then like I said with Batman Begins, I didn't know what was coming out because I didn't know Batman Begins was coming out, and then I saw 3 instead. So now, and then I saw Dark Knight in theaters to make up for it. So now with Dark Knight Rises, I definitely saw this one in theaters. But when I first heard this was being made, I did not expect a lot out of it, because they say that no sequel. Because if you have a film that is so popular, so beloved, and so financially successful, and that's basically what The Dark Knight was. This one here. Basically, this one was. There would be no way to, as they say, capture lightning in a bottle again. And to be honest, I don't think that's what they did with this one. I do not think they captured that lightning in a bottle. But I have to say it is a very damn good film. Not as good as Dark Knight, though. This film is set 8 years after The Dark Knight, basically 9 years after Batman Begins, 8 years after Dark Knight. Bruce Wayne has been retired for 8 years since Harvey and Rachel's death. He's basically held himself up in Wayne Manor, in the newly rebuilt Wayne Manor, because at the end of Batman Begins, the Wayne Manor was set up in flame. Basically, in the earlier part of Batman Begins, Bruce set Raz's house on fire. So Raz set Bruce's house on fire to, I guess, make it even or something. That's what he said, consider us even. Because he said, and I quote, "You burnt my house and left me for dead, consider us even." So he didn't even take Bruce with him, he just left him there to be burned alive. But Alfred came to save him, which I thought was cool. Now, with this one, Gordon, basically Bruce is in retirement, 8 years in retirement after the death of Rachel and Harvey. Still feels bad for taking the blame for Harvey's crimes. Bruce doesn't even leave his house, really. He is he's basically a recluse. He doesn't get outside. He does not leave his house. He never leaves. He never lets people in. The only people really he lets in is Alfred. Alfred's the only person he really talks to. He doesn't talk to anybody. Like I said, everybody from the first two movies is back, with the exception of Rachel. She got killed off. The cast this time is Christian Bale reprising his role as Bruce Wayne Batman, Michael Caine as Alfred, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle. She's not known as Catwoman in this movie, and I do not know why. I just don't. Because maybe she's a cat burglar in this one. She wasn't, I guess, possessed by cats like she was in Batman and Robin. Or Batman Returns, I mean. I don't know why I said that one. Tom Hardy as Bane. Now, as Bane, I thought he did a better job than the fucking zombie from Batman and Robin. He goes, boom, boom, Bane. No, that is not Bane. A mindless monster is not Bane. At least not what I've heard of Bane. So I think Tom Hardy did a better representation of the character. He made Bane basically Bruce's match. Basically, with this film, they wanted to put Bruce up against his match. Someone who could physically stand toe-to-toe with him. And I thought Bane was a good representation of that. Miranda Cotillard as Bruce's love interest. Basically, his love interest is business partner, Miranda Tate, who doesn't have that big of a role until the end, which I'll save that part for later. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a cop named John Blake. Sorry about that. Who at the end is revealed to be Robin. I'm sorry, I had a cough. But literally, yes, I'm sorry, it was a fake cough. He is revealed to be Robin at the end, but it's just his name. It's not saying he's literally going to be Robin. Because honestly, I'm actually going to say the ending part. Plus, for those who've seen the movie, you already know it. And then Morgan Freeman comes back as Lucius Fox. Like I said, Bruce is in retirement after the death of Harvey. Gordon has been left to run the police on his own. And Bane basically comes to Gotham to finish Ra's al Ghul's work, which is basically to destroy Gotham. Basically, Bane is the new leader of the League of Shadows from Batman Begins. They have come to finish Raz's work and basically destroy Gotham. Because if you see in the trailer, not Alfred, but Bane says to Bruce, when Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die. Basically saying he's going to turn Gotham into a crater, basically. But once Bruce starts hearing about why do I keep saying Alfred? When Bruce starts hearing more and more about Bane, he decided to come out of retirement to fight him. And one of the opening scenes of Batman was taken right out of Batman The Dark Knight Returns. Right out of it, basically. They just did a little bit of changes. Because basically this film is based on The Dark Knight Returns, Nightfall, and No Man's Land, I think. Yeah, those are the 3 comic books that influenced this film. But in this film, I thought it was a good conclusion. I did. I thought it was a good conclusion. Fantastic. A fantastic conclusion. I'll see. Selina Kyle is the cat burglar who... She was that way in Batman Year 1. Even though she wasn't in Batman Begins. Don't know why they didn't... I guess they didn't find a place for her. So she kind of does both. She works with both sides. She works to help Bruce and help Bane. She only helps Bane because she's afraid of him. She even said in the trailer and in the movie too. John Blake says, "Why are you running? Are you running from Bane?" And he goes, "What do you know about him?" And Selina says that you should be afraid of him as I am. So you already know Bane is a frightening guy, especially in the first fight in the sewer under the R&D place of Wayne Enterprises, that Bane is a frightening guy. Because once Bane comes on the scene, I'm going to take the words out of another movie reviewer that I see, Filmmaster Adam. He said that once Bane is on the scene, you know that shit is either gone down or is about to go down. And once Bane showed up in the sewer, you knew there was going to be a fight coming. And I saw this movie in theaters, and I loved that fight. But the thing about this movie is it has a runtime of 2 hours and 45 minutes. I was pretty much like this the whole movie. I was pretty much staring at my watch because I really had to go to the bathroom. And I didn't want to miss anything in this movie. Fair warning, if you go see a movie, and it's almost a 3-hour movie, and it's a movie that's almost 3 hours long, don't drink your soda off plot. Especially if you're a guy, because you have to go to the bathroom a whole lot. And I tried holding it in for 2.5 hours just to watch this film. Because I didn't want to miss a damn thing. I did that when I went to see Skyfall. I missed like the last 5 minutes of the movie, I think. And I didn't want to, so I'm trying to find it on DVD somewhere. But anyway, at the end of this movie, basically what happens is, during the fight, Bruce gets his back broken, and he has to spend 5 months in a pit trying to heal, recover, and all that stuff. And then they used something in this movie that was supposed to be in the original 5th movie, Batman Triumphant, where I read that Jack Nicholson was going to reprise his role as the Joker, but in a hallucination. And they did something like that here, with Bruce being in the cave, and I guess having an hallucination or something, and Ra's al Ghul appears. So we get to see Liam Neeson for at least a good 2 minutes of the film, which I thought was good to tie that in. Plus you have the flashbacks, the callbacks to, and the cameos from other entrants to definitely tie the trilogy together, which I thought was cool. But something at the end of this movie is what pissed the fuck out of me. I could take it in Batman Begins, because Scarecrow was very underutilized. But this movie, when I saw the thing at the end, I wanted to just throw something at the screen. I was that pissed when Miranda Tate reveals herself to be Talia al Ghul. I was sitting there in the theater like, what the fuck? Seriously, that's how I was. I was like, what the fuck? But she has a very weak death. She dies fucking too easily. She dies in a way that somebody's called being Boba Fetted. Dying too easily. But yeah. And then the whole town realizes that Harvey Dent was a fake. That Harvey was not the hero that thought he was. That Harvey was the one that actually killed the people. Bane reveals it, like right here. See this picture? Right there. Right there. Bane reveals it by a picture and reading off Gordon's will in front of the people, basically. And Gordon spends a good majority of this film in the hospital. I don't know if it's because they couldn't find something for Gary Oldman to do, so just wrote him in the hospital for half the film, or what. I don't know. I think it was because they probably couldn't find anything for Gary to do in the movie, just for him to still be in it, so they just wrote him in the hospital. We get to see him in the hospital, though. I thought that was cool that we still saw him here and there, but like I said, they probably couldn't find anything for Gary to do, so they just put him in the hospital. So they just put Gordon in the hospital. I like how at the end of them, and then in this movie, Bruce has a new flying vehicle called like the Bat, and in Dark Knight, he had the Bat Pod, which was like a motorcycle. So he goes from having a tank to a motorcycle to a plane. Okay. And speaking of a plane, the opening scene of this movie is like a plane heist thing. I really don't know how to explain it. It's like a plane heist. Where Bane and his crew hijack a plane, and they get this doctor they need to make a bomb. Because the fusion reactor in Wayne Enterprises can be used to make a thermonuclear bomb. And Bane needs the doctor named Dr. Pavel to do that. Dr. Pavel is the only guy who can do it, and he's the only guy that can disarm it. So Bane basically breaks his neck and kills him, just so the bomb can't be turned off. But like I said, I thought this was a very nice movie, very well done. Some people say it might have started being good at the beginning, and then they just threw too much at us, and then that's what was his downfall. Was it basically tried to throw too much at us, which I can kind of see. Yeah, I can kind of see that, but I still thought it was a good movie. And there was something that was used at the end of this for a reference from Dark Knight Returns, which was Bruce basically fakes his death. Supposedly Bruce dies in those explosion, taking the bomb out to the water so it doesn't take out him. He basically supposedly dies, and the town basically have a hero's funeral for him. They do not find these Batman like in Dark Knight Returns. The only one of the town to really know are Gordon and Blake, and then also Lucius. I like how the people who knew who Bruce was, that Bruce was Batman, attended his funeral, or his fake funeral, which was cool. So, and actually, Alfred is not in this movie that much. He's only like in the first hour of it, and then basically is written out for the rest. And then we see him at the end of it. And then he's back in the end of it for the funeral and pretty much the end of the movie. It doesn't really dies touch. I think the reason why they wrote Alfred out of it is, like I said, with Gordon, they couldn't think of anything for Michael Caine to do. So they basically just wrote him out of it. He basically up and quits being Bruce's butler when Bruce decides to put on the cape and cowl and become Batman again. Because he doesn't want to have to bury Bruce. He said in the trailer, "You are as precious to me as you were to your own mother and father. I swore to them that I would protect you, and I haven't. I've buried enough members of the Wayne family. I won't bury you. I've buried enough members of the Wayne family." So he didn't want Bruce to die, basically. He didn't want to have to bury him, like he had to with Bruce's parents. But Alfred shows up at the funeral along with Gordon, Lucius, and Blake. Just like the only 4 people who knew who he was showed up. Selina Kyle did not show up, even though she knew who he was. There's a reason for that. Because if you watch the end of the film, Selina Kyle and Bruce are in Italy. And Bruce is basically respecting Rachel's wishes to move on with his life. And he's doing that with Selina Kyle, which I thought was a nice thing. Because they made this ending the opposite of Batman Returns. I know, I hate to compare franchises, but this one is basically the same franchise, a different branch. It's the same tree, but a different branch of it. But, yeah. This was a supposed epic conclusion. I thought it was a very nice one. And I had to touch on Robin John Blake for a minute. At the reading of the will, of Bruce's will, Blake basically learns that Bruce left him something, and he basically left him the Batcave. He left him the coordinates, left him climbing gear, rock climbing gear, I guess you'd say, like something to help him like jump it, like, swing into the Batcave or something. Because Blake does not use the main entrance; he uses basically the waterfall entrance, which I thought was nice. And then when Blake's walking through the Batcave, he walks up on the podium thing, and then it just kind of rises up. It rises up, and then cut to black, and then end of credits. I saw that ending, I was like, what the fuck? You say this is the conclusion, yet you fucking set up another storyline. But you kind of got to figure, it's actually you got to figure this trilogy is Bruce's story. That's it. That's why the ending was that. That's why the ending with John Blake taking over the cave ended up being that ending. Was because this trilogy is Bruce's story, no one else's. Because they say on Dark Knight Rises, the featurette called The Journey of Bruce Wayne, and that's basically what this trilogy was. It was Bruce's story, Bruce's journey, how he became Batman, and then how he rid the city of crime. And the ending of it, the supposed ambiguous ending, was that you didn't know what happened next. You didn't know if Blake was going to be Batman, Nightwing, Robin. You don't know. And they kind of left that ending ambiguous for the fans to decide that for themselves. There has been talks of a movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing either Batman or Nightwing or Robin, but I haven't heard that much on it. All I heard were possibilities and rumors. But now what I've heard is they're going to reboot Batman they're going to reboot it to tie it into Justice League. But I think they're only going to make Justice League if Man of Steel does well. So if Man of Steel does well, then they will proceed with Justice League. But there are rumors, though, of Christian Bale supposedly taking the role of Batman again. Christian Bale said after Dark Knight Rises, he would only do another Batman movie if Chris Nolan was attached. He would only do another movie if Nolan was attached. Which, so far, Nolan, I think, is the producer of Justice League. He's the producer of Man of Steel. So I do not know yet. But, like I said, I don't know. I hope to find out more on the information. I'm going to give this trilogy a perfect 10. Because I love these. Out of every comic book movie I've seen, these three are the best. This is the best trilogy I've seen in the comic book movie genre. So I give it a perfect 10 out of 10. And you guys may disagree with me, saying nothing's perfect or whatever, but you know what? Screw you guys. I love these movies. They're the best. They're the best comic movies I've seen ever. So you know what? Shut it. So if you guys have another movie in mind that you want me to review, please leave it in the comment section below, and I will see if I can track that movie down and review it for you guys. Thank you very much.